All right, welcome back. Now what we'll be working on is the second floor framing, well, second floor ceiling framing. This one's a little bit of a unique, of a different case. This one is not a full two-story building. Um, as you can see, um, basically this area of the attic, walk-up attic above the garage is the second floor, and the area above this, there's access into here, which is walkable. Um, as you can see, this part here is the second floor, and you can walk into here. Um, Technically, looking at it, if you look at the roof plan, you can see that this wall comes up to here, in which they can support that with either like a double rafter or you know, they could either support it with a double rafter or they can bring the wall all the way down and support it on this wall all the way. Typically, what I like to do is just make it so they can support this wall with a double rafter, um, and then this gable end wall with a double rafter or something, and then that way they can actually have walkable space into this area. So and we can go back and do that later. But thing about the second floor is it's technically not classified as a second floor because it's within the confinements of the roof. There are not individual 8 foot walls to make this whole area 8 foot tall. It's only 8 foot at this area. So, like we mentioned before, um, because this area is so shallow, where the 8 foot height is, what we'll do is we'll use this as the ceiling joist and the collar ties. And we've already got a call out here that we can just copy and bring here. Now, kind of like I mentioned before, it's not centered. So what we do is just come over here, reset the text position. And now you see that basically there's too much text to fit in here. So what we'll do is we'll just double click. We'll just enter and then enter. I don't really like the way that looks, honestly. There you go. We can just do that. Now, looks better. All right. So this section, this part over here, will not be part of this will not be a part of the collar tie section. These are just going to be ceiling joists, but they will attach to the rafters. So what we'll do is we'll come over here and we'll use this note. Since they'll attach to the rafters, and then they will over here reset text position. And as you can see, the stairs and all that kind of stuff is kind of there. So what we do, anytime the text is kind of hard to see, what we'll do is we'll come over here, and we'll go to our properties, and we'll come over here to text fill color, and we'll change it to the background. So that way this stands out above everything else. So, and this span here is our measure tool distance from the wall to here is 13'4". So now we come over here to our ceiling joist span table. So for ceiling joists, typically we use 10 pounds dead load, 10 pounds live load for ceiling joists that don't have that, don't have storage up above. However, code is actually 10 pounds live load, 5 pounds dead load. And I use this anytime we got ceiling joist slash collar ties where they're going to be attached to the rafters, or something like this where it's above the stairs and they physically are not going to be able to store anything there. So that's where I use this. And 2x6s at 16, which is 2x6 and 2x8s are the most common ceiling joist sizes. And 2x6 at 16 inches on center is for number 2 is 16 foot 11. So, and this span here was 13 foot 4, so we're good to go. So now that we have that, we need to figure out what type of connection we can use here attaching to the rafters. Over here we've got our standard call out of 5 10D nails. A 10D nail per the NDS code, and then I will bring up that code right now. NDS. So per NDS code, it's actually we typically use 10D nails. The most common types of nails are 10D nails and 8D nails. Typically, what we use though is always 10D. They are three inches long, so that way they can go through a 2-ply member. Let's see, nails. All right. So chapter 12 of the code deals with nails. Let's see. Here we are. Into common box, sinker, and roof sheathing ring steel nails. And then this is sawn lumber or structural composite lumber, which is LVLs and whatnot. So our side member is 1.5 somewhere. So yeah, we on table 12N. Excuse me. You'll see. So our side member is 1.5. That's what we're nailing to. So because a rafter, which is a 2x member, is 1.5 inches thick, we come over here to the 0.148. That's the size of a 10D nail. And we're going over to Southern Pine, which has a specific gravity of 155, and it's good for 128 pounds per nail of shear. So let's come over here to beam check. And see what exactly for 2x6 is 16 inches on center with 10 pounds live load, 5 pounds dead load. £133. So obviously, if one nail is good for 128, technically you only need 2 nails. However, there's a rule of thumb that we go with. With a 2x4 member, we use 3 10D nails. With a 2x6, we use 5 10D nails. 2x8, 7, 2x10, 9. The easy way to think about it is you just go one member, one nail lower than the member number. So 2x4, 3, 6, 5, 7, 2x8, 7, 2x10, 9. That's the easiest way to think about it. So we know that 5 10D nails will work here, but we can't use this note because it says 5 10D nails each end. So what we'll do is we'll just come over here, and we've already got a note that says it right there. Secure to rafters with how many 10D nails? 5 10D nails. There you go. So the next thing to do is track down our loads. That's one thing to never forget. Always, always, always track down your loads. So you can copy that. Copy that. Excuse me. Copy that. Copy that. All these stud columns that we've been using, all of our roof support callouts, we've got to copy all that down. Because if you think about it, even though we design from the top down, they build it from the bottom up. So you have to always include everything. So now you see you've got 3 stud columns that are going to be in this wall, our 2 stud columns that are going to be in this wall, you know, our stud columns below, right here. This wall's roof support. We have to remember there's a beam right there being supported on it. And then we've got all these stud columns below right here. So another thing to bring up is usually this house has tray ceilings, which basically means it starts off at one height and then it goes up to another height. This house actually has 9-foot tray ceilings. So in this area, it's 9 feet, and then right here it's at 10 feet. Same thing here. At this area, it's 9 feet, and then this area is 10 feet. So this is not usually included in the drawings, but I usually like to include them on the second floor plan just to show that, you know, even though this area is walkable, they can't actually walk it. Walk above this. This can't actually be technically floor space because there's a tray ceiling right here. However, what I like to do is design that whole area as if they are going to walk on it at some point, because why wouldn't they? So here we go. That's it for that. We've already tracked down our loads. Now what we need to do is, like we did on the roof, put whatever our loads are now. So now the only new load that's being added, because these ceiling joists attached to the rafters, this side attached to the rafters. However, this side is bearing on this wall. So what we've got to do here is come over here, use our match properties tool, and show. I usually, like, anywhere where there's a load bearing wall, I'll draw a rectangle around that wall and then put it on the engineering loads layer. The engineering loads layer does not print. It's only there for your reference to know that that's where the load is. So what we do is 13 foot, let's just call it 13 foot 8. Bring up our calculator. 13.666 divided by 2, 6.83. 83 times 10 and 6.83 times 15, because those are the loads we use. However, you also have to take into account the weight of the wall. So we can just assume, since this is all 8-foot ceiling, for interior walls, I use 4 PSF of dead load for the wall, and then for exterior walls, I use 8 PSF dead load. So we can use 8 times 4, which is 32. So that's 32. So 135. So our load here should be 68, 135. There you go. All right, so now we've got our loads, we got all our point loads. All of these are all still on the same layer as they were on the roof. So let's go ahead and change all these layers, shall we? So right now, all this text is on the roof notes layer. Let's change that to floor 2 notes layer, because now we're on the second floor. The easiest way to do that is just select all that stuff, isolate it so that way, oh, press the wrong button. Select it, isolate, isolate. So now that's the only thing here. And now we can just select here, go to select similar. Now let's change that to floor 2 studs. And here, select similar, floor 2 stud notes. Go. Then here, change that from roof engineering loads to floor 2 engineering loads. Now everything is on the correct layer. Well, here this still says roof engineering, so let's change that to floor 2 engineering. Alright, now everything should be on the right layer. Now we can just end that isolation, and bam, there you go. Now, that's pretty much it for the second floor. So, on to the first floor.